Hi everyone, welcome to today's vlog. As you can see, we're not in the normal ragged apron kitchen, we're in our kitchen at home. So this should be a more realistic feel for what we can do and what you can do using simple ingredients and turning out simple food. Today's vlog is going to be mince beef and vegetable pie. We're going to be using short crust pastry base and then the pie filling, and then we're using pre-bought in puff pastry, pre-rolled sheets. Basically, just to save time, it's cost effective to do. So let's just quickly run through the ingredients and I'll show you our kitchen. Right, so this is the cooker that we're going to be using. It's a halogen top. And we're going to start by, we're going to start by presetting the oven and getting the oven to 180 degrees. So let's get that on, pumping away. So it's now set for 180. You're going to have to bear with me on this because I've not used this oven before at all. We've got a couple of pans already preset to go on. We're going to be using an Iceland special, which is the casserole bag. These are about £2 a bag, but you may not need it all, but if you do, you do. We're going to be using extra lean mince, which is 5%. As you can see, this is about £4 a pack. And then we're going to be using the pre-rolled puff pastry sheets. These are about £2.50 a pack, so they're not expensive. And then I've just pretty much started making out some short crust pastry, which I'm going to be pre-rolling out now to line the trays. Just got a bit of self-raising flour just to stop it from sticking on the tray. Now today what I did was I started making this pastry by hand. What a ball ache. Absolute ball ache to do. I can see why you use a machine, because using the machine we would have probably had that done in about 5 minutes. Doing it by hand was about 10 to 15 minutes. So that just shows you how quick you can do it as a machine. If you haven't got a machine at home to do that, so that's something that we need to look at. As you can see, the quality of the mince is quite nice. It's good quality mince. We've also got a couple of gravy granules. I mean, you can use Bisto, but these are a cheaper version. These are like £1.20. So altogether, the cost on this is roughly about £15, £20 in cost for a total. But this will get us about 20 portions. So let's go. I'll get this pastry rolled out for you, and then I'll be back with you. So I'll just try and talk to you as I'm going along. So I'm rolling the pastry out. Basically, as people are aware, food prices have gone up astronomical. You're looking at beef's gone up by 35%. We looked at buying some stewing steak as an example for the cafe, and that was like £45 for something like 7 kilo. So absolutely ridiculous amount of money. Nothing wrong with mince beef. Mince beef's a good product. We do use at the cafe for 23%, because that seems to be all right to make the chili with. But we want something a bit more meaty, a bit more tasty. So we've gone for this 5%. You can get it from the butchers, obviously, but I would try and advise buying fresh if you can. Fresh seems to be a little bit better. So I've just almost rolled the pastry out. The key with the pastry is when you're making it, you don't want it wet and stodgy. I basically did this about half an hour ago. I pretty much left it, covered it in cling film, left it half an hour, had a cup of tea. I come back, it's now like, as you can see, nice and firm. You don't want to be handling it too much because it causes it to discolour. Thick wise, I'll show you how thick it's going to be when I've lined the tray. So I'm going to line the tray now, and I'll show you how thick it's going to be. So as you can see, the pastry's in the tray. I'm basically going to be using my fingers and get it all nice and neat. So you're going to be folding it in and making sure there's an overlap, because we need the overlap for the next sheet of pastry to stick to it. It's really important that you've got an overlap, because sometimes the pastry moves in a little bit, which will cause it to have gaps. Whereas doing it this way, it's the best way to have a bit of an overlap, a bit of extra pastry. We'll trim it up, we'll make sure we'll make it all fluted around the edges, nice and neat. But we'll show you that once I've done it. Okay, so we're back with the pastry again. As you can see, we've got it, it's a bit wobbly at the minute. As you can see, we've got it all in, all right, as tight as you can to the corners. You just need that extra overlap. You think to yourself, oh, it looks a bit messy, that. But it's got to be quite tight to the corners, so when you cut it, it all comes together. But that's all pretty much done and ready to go. We're just going to put that back into the fridge and just leave it to rest for a little bit. If your pastry rips, which it possibly might do, just make some egg, milk, I call it egg wash, and just stick it back together again. So if it rips, the extra bits that you've got, just patchwork it is, because it's only going to be in the bottom, so it don't really matter if it goes a bit patchy, because you're not going to see that. But nobody's perfect, so I won't really worry too much about it. So we're going to get the mince on now. What I've done is I've just saved a little bit of lard that's left. When I made the pastry, I used half fat to flour, and basically I used a bit of lard and quite a lot of butter. But I'm going to use the extra bit of lard just to cook this in. I've already started getting the pans warm. We're just going to put, you can see I'm only putting in that much. It's just a little square. And we're going to turn these up now and get them on high. You have to bear with me because I don't usually cook at home. Our Jake, who's our chef at the Ragged Apron, he tends to do the cooking at home. So I'm trying to work out how to use a stove, which is quite funny as a chef that's been a chef for like 30 years. So we're back on. So this is all melting up. I'm not going to be adding any salt and pepper. A lot of people say to us on a couple of our videos, why don't you put salt and pepper in? The reason why I don't put salt and pepper in, if it's anything with gravy already contains salt. So I'm not going to put any salt in it. If you're going to use low salt, then obviously put a little bit in. So this is all melted now, so we're going to get this mince frying off. Got a wooden spoon or a plastic spoon. So that's going to be cooking away now. We're going to be putting 2 packs into each one. And hopefully not set the kitchen on fire. So these are going to be, as you can see, we're cooking away with this. Well, we're basically going to be frying it a little bit. Fry it, make sure it's cooked. We're doing 2 pans at a time, purely because we can. Now, when you're cooking things like mince, I'm going to quickly show you now on the what we're looking for on the consistency wise. So just so it's going to show you how it's going to change colour. So just quickly bear with me a minute while we swap the camera around. Okay. So I don't know whether you can see, but this one here is starting to go brown. When it starts going brown, well, you know it's cooked. Obviously it's red at the minute, so it's going to be changing colour. We're looking for it all to go brown. We don't want it burnt. We just want it so it's browned off. And then once it's almost browned off, we'll be adding the vegetables to it. And then we'll thicken that up, and that will make us filling. Right, so the mince is almost changed colour. I'm just going to quickly show you. As you can see, both pans are bubbling away. And then we're going to, once these are, we'll leave these on for probably 5 minutes or so. Then we're just going to quickly add the vegetables. The vegetables have already got onions in it, so people might think, well, he's putting no onions in when he's frying his mince off. You don't need to because it contains onions. So I'm just going to quickly show you the packet. So this is the gravy again that we're using. As you can see right at the bottom of the ingredients, if I can get it to about right. There's your salt right at the bottom, so it tells you what salt content it is. The casserole mix already contains onions, whole onions. Well, that's the reason why we're not going to be putting any onions in. Now that's going to get added to the mix, and then we're just going to leave that cooking for a little bit. Right, so we've pretty much got the casserole mix in. We're just going to get giving it a quick stir. And once we've stirred it all in, we're just going to, the best thing about this, we're doing 2 pans, is I can show you a little bit in front. So we're going on to the next pan. So we've got some water. We've just added water to it. A little bit of water going in, as you can see. That's what we need. We sort of use all the stock from the meat. We've not drained anything off. All the stock, the fat in there, the frozen vegetables have gone in, so all that juice and everything else has gone into that, so add more and more flavour. And we're just going to cook that and get that simmering until that water's hot. The water needs to be hot when you're adding the gravy mix. So that's probably going to take, I'm going to say, roughly about 10 minutes to boil up. And once it's boiled up, then we'll be ready to thicken it up. Again, this one's not added any water to it yet, but you can see the consistency of that. Let's give it a stir like that. Looks nice and vibrant, nice colours. Let's get that water added to it. So I'm just going to show you. So add the water, keep adding the water. Now that's not enough water, as you can tell against that one. That needs more water putting into it. Once that water's into, let's get them both up to boil. Let's get this pie finished off. So minced meats and vegetables are boiling, so we're going to thicken them up. Now what I've done is, just to save a little bit of time, I've already started thickening one up. I put quite a lot of gravy into that one. So let me just go on to show you the consistency. So as you can see, this is the other one that's been ticking away. And I've got it on, I had it on quite high, but you can see the consistency. We want it quite thick. We want it quite thick so that when we put that into as pie, it then sets. There's nothing worse than getting a pie, you cut into it, and we've all done it, you cut into that pie and everything, all the filling comes out, and you're left with one piece of meat. This way it will hold together. So basically you can portion it up, you can freeze it down, you can do pretty much whatever you want with it. So we're looking at a consistency quite thick, just like that. That's going to get loaded into the pie, which I'm going to show you that on the next step. Alright, so we've just pretty much loaded one of the trays up, and a good chef won't burn the pan. I don't know whether you can see, but the pan's not burnt at the bottom. That's purely down to regulating the temperature. So happy days for the pot washer. So we've just put it all in. We've managed to get it all in one pan, and it's pretty much done one pie. So as an example, use smaller pans, smaller pies, but that's, as you can see, it started to set. That's the consistency that we want. Then we're going to put the pastry sheet over the top. We've already started making the egg wash, so we've got the egg wash already done. So when I said earlier at the beginning, if your pastry rips, you need egg wash. So this is pretty much it. So I've just used one egg, a little bit of milk. It acts like a bit of a glue to it. So we'll get the other one setting for a little bit, and then we'll roll the pastry out. Or should I say, we'll take it out of the packet and put that together, and I'll show you what we're doing with that in a minute or two. So we're going to be using pre-rolled, like I said, puff pastry. It comes in a pretty much in a box like that. Already rolled. You can buy them in blocks and roll them out yourself if you want, but these are just already done. Opens it up, comes in a little packet. It's already got greaseproof paper lined in between, but we found that sometimes you might just have to roll it out a little bit to make sure it fits. I wouldn't take it off the greaseproof paper when it's already got greaseproof paper in the middle. If you're going to roll it with the greaseproof paper still on. Also, otherwise it's a bit of a nightmare to try and get it around the rolling pin, because then you've got flour in it and everything else. I'm going to get this done. I'll get it out of the packet, get it lined up, make sure it's big enough, and then I'll show you what we're doing just to get this puff pastry to stick to the short crust pastry. Right, so we've just pretty much rolled the sheet out. As you can see, it comes in greaseproof paper like that. We know it's not going to be big enough, so we're just going to egg wash this. Plenty of egg wash on it. I'll try and do this as quick as I can. Put plenty on. We want it to stick. So egg wash, and then a lot of people will try messing about pulling it off. Don't bother messing about pulling it off. Just put it over like that. Drop it on. Pull the paper off like that, and then we want to drop it in the edges. So I'm just using my fingers to drop it into the edges like that. So obviously you can see there's a bit of a gap there. We want it nice and tight at the bottom. As you can see, it's now starting to take shape on what it wants to be. So that's pretty much that bit done. We're just going to neaten it all up a little bit. Get that in that edge. All that like that. Now we're going to take the excess off. Like this. Same with this side. Just like that. Okay. And then a bit of excess there. You can save this pastry and reuse it again if you want. And then I'm just going to show you what to do with this. So use your fingers like that. Basically, fingers, pop. So you're putting your fingers to it. And that's going to give it that little, we call it a fluted edge to it. As you can see, as you can hear, Nicola's in the background filming away. It's a bit hard to try and film and do this at the same time. Plus as well, this will just help it stick together. So pretty much like that. The cooking time on this, I reckon combined is probably about an hour. But you can make your pastry the day before if you've got 10-15 minutes. Like I said at the beginning, it's far quicker using a machine than trying to do it by hand, as I worked it out this morning myself. And then we're just going to use this egg wash. Now this will give it that browny colour to it. Try and put it on as evenly as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but as long as it's coated. And then once this is done, which it will be in about a minute or so, that's ready. And then we're just going to put this in the oven. I reckon it'll probably take a good half an hour, 40 minutes to cook. You can see that's perfect. Perfect. Into the oven it's going. Straight in. And then we'll come back and show you the final results. And probably we'll check it in about half an hour just to see how it is. Right, so the pies have been in the oven for a good 45 minutes, 50 minutes. Let's just take them out now. Let's have a quick look on how they look and see what the end result's like. Look at that. That's what you call a pie. You just eat that now. Ooh, absolutely gorgeous. Can't beat a pie, especially in this warm, or should I say, cold weather that we've been having. Good luck on this one.